Your specific person desires you way more than you desire them. And the reason I know this is because in manifestation, nothing that is truly and wholly desired is ever difficult. Meaning, as soon as you desire something, you will immediately embody it and immediately create it in your reality. But of course, I can hear you saying it already, but Kyle, I care about my specific person. I want to be with them. I want to be in a relationship. I want to marry them. And so, of course, is that not a desire enough? Well, yes, but we have to remember that our mind and body does not necessarily manifest what we want. It manifests what we are. And when you wholly and truly desire something, you change your entire state of being in order to match that embodiment. And so basically, to desire wholly is to create this thing in our reality. But again, this may be confusing. So think about your current state and your current sense of self. Let's say that we are at this current moment in time having a lot of negative thoughts. We would have to ask ourselves, why are we consistently putting energy and time into negative thoughts? If we know that positive thoughts always bring about positive outcomes and positive thoughts just make us feel better in general, then how come we're not consistently and habitually thinking upon something positive? And the reason is then because we're not wholly desiring it. There is something within the negative thoughts, there is something within the negative state, there is something within the negative worries that we actually like or at least feel comfortable in, because comfortability is also something that you can desire. And I would say one of the biggest factors that stops people from being with their specific person or manifesting anything for that matter is the concept of comfortability in the current state. So yes, what we are accidentally doing, and what I am saying here, is we're actually enjoying the state of being comfortable over the state of being with our specific person. And I know that sounds crazy to really think about, or it sounds crazy when I word it in that way, but it's actually the truth of what is happening. Because every moment of the day, every point in time, when you do everything, you are choosing to do that thing. And I know sometimes it doesn't necessarily feel like a choice. When you think of the choice of negative thoughts or positive thoughts, we would say that we would always want to choose positive thoughts, but we accidentally choose the negative thoughts. And so what we do then throughout the day as well is always up to our choice. Our imagination is under no one's control but you. And so when we're imagining as well, that is entirely within our own choice. And so then we'd have to ask ourselves if being with our specific person is something that we truly wanted and was wholly desirable, then we would be constantly imagining it. And that's why I would say your specific person and that state actually wants you more than you want it, because right now your specific person would totally accept you into their reality as soon as we embody the state. They're actually hoping for that outcome. But then, so throughout the day, if we want to switch this and change this and start to manifest what we want, we just have to be aware of the decisions that we're actually choosing and making at each point in time. It also works on this idea that you've probably heard me talk about in a lot of my videos because it's so powerful. I love talking about it in coaching sessions as well, is the idea of priming. So priming is that your reality and your thoughts and your imagination is always preparing you for some type of outcome, no matter what it is. So if we're constantly keeping our room dirty and everything we do is untidy and we're not fulfilling and doing the things that we want, this will actually be priming our mind for the negative. In the same way, you can think of it that whenever we're having a sad or depressed or down day, it's easier for our mind to bring up down, negative, and sad thoughts. This is because of the way that your mind works. But in the same opposite, when we are feeling good, when we're feeling happy, when we're feeling confident, it's so much easier for our mind to draw upon that. So your reality is the same way. It doesn't just begin and end with our thoughts. So throughout the day, you might accidentally be playing your manifestation game or playing your manifestation on hard mode, on the hardest difficulty possible, if you are finding that everything around you is actually pointing towards not being with your specific person as compared to being with them. But the answer and the change in this is actually very simple. Just become more conscious throughout the day. Because whether or not you want to think about it, and I know sometimes this is really hard to accept, but as soon as we accept it, everything becomes 1,000 times easier. You just need to accept that your mind desires the comfortability of being single as compared to the comfortability of being in a relationship. And as soon as we get over that, we'll be able to change everything. And yes, it really is that simple. And another reason why this is because our mind actually contains more anticipatory neurons than neurons of actually enjoying something, which I know sounds crazy. And this is something I've been recently contemplating. Basically, then, if this is the case and we have more anticipatory neurons, which works with your specific person too, so they are having extremely desirable and attractive thoughts towards you, thinking about being with you. But if that's the case, then our mind would actually find the most comfort just before you manifest exactly what you want, because this would be the state of the most anticipation. You'd be preparing and the most ready for the outcome. But as soon as you get the outcome, then it isn't as happy and abundant. But then we just want to say and stop ourselves, because yes, of course, it's great to be here right before our manifestation. And you could probably even think of other examples in your reality in which you were really excited for something, and then after you got it, you weren't as excited. But we don't want to do that here, right? As awesome and amazing as that state is, and as comfortable as it is, we want to break out of that. I don't want you to be in the anticipation stage of being with your specific person for the entirety of your reality. I want you to actually get to that point. And of course, I would say still our desire is to achieve what we want, but the state of comfortability with the state of anticipation can be something we get used to, because of course, being with your specific person is a better state than anticipating being with them, but it might feel different. And so we just need to overcome that. And again, how do we overcome this? And we would say the awareness and consciousness of what we're doing each and every day, and asking ourselves, does it actually align us with the state that we want, or is it aligning us with the opposite? And I'll say this again, it really is that simple. Even take, for example, this person from a previous coaching session in which they wrote, and again, before this point, they were in no contact with their specific person, had basically all the circumstances you could ever imagine, and their specific person randomly reaches out to them, telling them how much they miss them, how much they're obsessed with them, and how much they want to meet up with them. And at first, this might seem out of nowhere or out of the ordinary. Like, I feel like a lot of success stories can look like from the outside, but really, it's a direct relationship between overcoming the desire of being comfortable and embodying the true desire of being with their specific person, and matching absolutely everything with that particular state in order to see that outcome. Because before this point, they had their worries, and everyone's going to have anxieties and worries, but they were letting their reality alter themselves to think that they couldn't be with their specific person. Basically, that priming effect happening all over again. Things around them were just pointing towards this idea of them not being with their specific person. But as soon as they became aware of that, change their thoughts, change their assumptions, change their actions, which come about automatically from those assumptions, then they saw this occur in their reality. And remember as well, when you are manifesting, the bridge of events is going to come to you in a way that's so above and beyond what you logically think is possible, because it's acting on a state of true abundance. Now, the more closely you are to the state, the easier it will be to see and kind of react or understand this abundance. But don't feel like things can't change and drastically alter in a split second, because they absolutely can. I think a lot of the success stories that I actually showcase on this channel, I pick and choose because they change so drastically in such a short period of time. And so making everyone who's watching understand that they have the abilities to do the same exact thing, and to remember that someone who's engaged to their specific person is just as close to their manifestation as someone who is in no contact or blocked. And our logical mind has a huge problem with that. And that's the reason why we get into a state of comfortability of not being with our specific person. But we just have to come to terms with the idea that our mind might be more comfortable in that state, but we can overcome it and we can change it. And that might actually be the only thing that's actually blocking you from being with your specific person. So take a moment and just become aware of what you're doing and ask yourself, am I being comfortable in my current state? When I act outside of it, when I do different things, when I say different affirmations or visualizations, does that feel weird or does it feel fantastic? Is it turning into my habit? Because remember, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. So become the individual your specific person is obsessed with, and they'll show up in your reality faster than you could ever imagine. Because I'm not lying when I say your specific person is desiring you so much more than you are desiring them. Because if you even desired them a tenth of how much they desire you, you would already be with them right now. So as always, if you did have any questions on this or wanted to kind of talk about or discuss how to actually do this, comment it in the comment section below. Remember, you can also reach out to me on my website at kyleaugustcoaching.com. If you didn't want to post a success, a question, or post publicly, you can reach me there. And if you know for a fact that your specific person is in love with you 10 times as much as you're in love with them, leave a thumbs up on this video, and as well, don't forget to subscribe. As always, thank you so much for stopping by today, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.